everyone. I'm here for one of my stories. This is Lindsey Dunn, and today I am here with Harrison Martin, aka the movie guru, aka Flix Frog. Hello, Harrison. How are you doing this evening?
Hello, I am doing well. Glad to be back. For all those watching, I practically begged her to bring me back on her show, and I am so excited to be here. I bought new headphones and everything just for this moment. So I'm ready to talk Cobra Kai. I'm ready to dig into the season and just spend a good, I don't know how long this will take, but all the time just talking to you about it.
Well, you are well equipped then with your new equipment to talk about this. But yes, you kind of let the cat out of the bag, but it's okay. We are talking about Cobra Kai season 5, which drops on Netflix September 9th, 2022, coming up very soon. So before I kick us off, I'm just gonna run down sort of the synopsis of the series. In season 4, they really set up some epic drama for us. At the end, we had this big, the All Valley, and there was this promise that either Cobra Kai and or Miyagi-Do / Eagle Fang would be the sole the sole people able to teach karate in the valley. And unfortunately, at the end of that, Cobra Kai was the one that came out on top. Well, it depends on who you root for. Some people are in favor of the Cobra Kai dojo. Apparently, I saw someone on Twitter today saying they wanted Cobra Kai to take over the valley. So there are people on both sides. So we had this ending that Cobra Kai won, and then Johnny and Daniel had to close their co-dojo, and well, it had broken up, but then they were on their way to unifying, but they had to close the doors, and Daniel decides he's going to go through the back channels and find a different way. He's not going to teach karate anymore, but that doesn't mean that he's giving up and just letting Cobra Kai take over. We also had Kreese going off to prison, and we weren't sure what was going to happen with that. Miguel's hit the road looking for his father, and Johnny's going to look for him, taking Robbie along for their first ever father-son road trip. We also had Tori, who heartbreakingly found out that she only won because the rope was paid off. We had Stingray recovering in a hospital. We had Kenny finally standing up to Anthony, and it was just, there was a lot of drama that hyped up. So just how excited were you about this season coming out, Harrison, when you knew it was going to come out, and especially early because it came out in September and everyone kind of expected it to follow form and come out in January again. So what were your thoughts going into this season?
Well, as a big Cobra Kai fan, I was very excited to see what this season would bring. I did enjoy last season, and I wanted to see like how they were going to spin that off, because after the All Valley tournament, I didn't think they both had to close. I thought Johnny, technically, he was the only one who lost with like all the competition. So yes, the Eagle Fang definitely had to close, but Miyagi-Do, Hawk won the male division, if I'm remembering correctly. So he won that. Cobra Kai won the female division and the weapons division. So unless it was like, since they won 2, they win the whole thing. But I thought it was going to be like a tie type of situation. But yes,
Yeah.
very, very excited. And as you and I both know, there is someone I was looking forward to seeing coming back after Terry Silver was like, I'm going to have to bring in some help. So
everybody wondered what that help would be, for sure. Now, just to kind of go over what you just mentioned, the way the All Valley totally revamped their format. If you remember before, it was mostly guys, and Karate Kid won. You never saw any girls doing karate, but by the time Cobra Kai dropped, we saw Aisha in the tournament. She's competing, so there were girls. And in season 4, the committee members all got together and they decided to revamp it. So there were 3 parts to the division. There were the weapons, there was the boys competition, and the girls competition. And the way it worked was there was a cumulative score, and so at the end there was one all over winner. You could the girls, whoever won the girls fight, they might win that fight, but they still, the overall score, there was only one dojo that took the title. So that's how that happened, because Cobra Kai going in was in the lead, and they set it up. They said that the boys, Cobra Kai only had to win, Miyagi-Do had to win both fights in order to win the overall title, because of just how the scoring was done. So it was a lot to follow, but there wasn't going to be a tie. You could be, Hawk was the winner and Tori was the winner of the girls, but there was only one overall winner.
Understood. Thank you for clearing that up for me. I needed that.
So there were no ties. It was Cobra Kai won the grand champion.
Because they're cheaters.
They're cheaters. And
yes, we saw at the end of the last season.
yeah, and Terry, I think that was kind of an interesting thing, because for the kids themselves, when I say I feel like I almost shouldn't call them kids, but Tori especially, she wanted to believe she could win. She even said that to both. She said to Silver, she said, I don't need to cheat to win. I can win by myself. And Silver shows no faith in his students, because he keeps paying off referees to make things go in his direction. And we learn in season 1 episode 1 of this season, that his style is based on deception. So that's his whole style, is not doing things correctly. Chosen showed you would bow and then you would immediately attack while the person was bowing. So yeah, but he doesn't have faith that his students can do it, which isn't necessarily a good thing to have as a teacher, as a sensei, to not believe your students can do it.
But I would agree with that somewhat. I think his methods of cheating is more like an insurance policy. I think he does believe in his students because he believes in himself. And if he's their teacher, I think he believes he's going to train the best fighters. But if for some reason somebody edges him out, he wants to make sure that he still comes out on top, which is why he paid the ref. Because as you saw, she was doing really good.
Mm-hmm.
Tori was doing really good against Samantha. And just she got lucky, and technically that the ref didn't call that one blow that Sam landed. So like, I think I do see it as more of he just, because he doesn't deny it when he's like, did you cheat? He's not like, oh no, I didn't cheat. He's like, yes, I did it, but I just want to make sure we come out on top. And yes, it's still wrong and it's still cheating no matter which way you look at it. But I do think it's more of just to make sure, not necessarily I don't believe in myself type of cheating.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think we're going, maybe it's a little early to talk about season 6 yet. So I talked about 5, but I do think they're going to go into that more because of some things, the back history that was revealed about Kreese and Silver in this series definitely makes me think they're going to explore that even further. But there's this rivalry. So who knows what happened in between what after they showed us, I think it was in the 1980, 81, I think, when they showed Kreese and Silver. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. But yes, I agree. I was pumped just because I think I was so excited that they were going to just have the series early too. You're thinking you have to wait a whole year, and here it is, 9 months. And they definitely they made you believe that you were going to see even greater things, because the All Valley tournament in season 4 was so good. And I was really hyped to see Chosen coming back, and there was so much to do. But So we talked about our expectations going in. What were your overall impressions of the series? Just I already said it. What were your overall impressions
overall
of the
impressions of
series?
season 5. It is not my
Season 5.
favorite season, but it's still really good. I think I still believe in the writers on this show and them mining the first 3 Karate Kid films plus the next Karate Kid in terms of their lore. And I think they're still doing a good job. I don't want to get ahead of myself in terms of like where I see season 6 going, but in my head canon of like once I started watching the show, I'm like, this is where I feel like this is going to end up. It is slowly getting there. When we got to the end of the season, I was like, this is exactly where I saw it going. This is where it had to go in my mind because you can't just keep doing all valleys. But yeah, there are certain characters who I feel were shortchanged. They did not get enough to do. There are other characters who I feel, or not characters, storylines that I felt should have gone on longer. Like even at a certain point, I was like, maybe they should have split this season into 2 parts, like they've done with some other shows like Ozark. They should have just probably added maybe 4 more episodes and did season 5 part 1 in the fall, season 5 part 2 in the winter of 2023, like January, February, or something like that. And I think that probably would have been great because I would have liked to have seen more of what Chosen was doing in the beginning with Cobra Kai. That would have made that was a great storyline that I just felt it was over. Well, it was like an episode or 2,
Mm-hmm.
and I just wanted to see more of that. And another character. Can we go into like the characters that appear yet? What time? I'm gonna hold off on that. Yeah,
Let me give my overall
go ahead and
impressions
give your
and
opinion.
then
But yes, those are basically my thoughts. It's a great season. I still enjoy it. There are some things I wish they had done better, but still, this universe is in great hands. So I'm gonna leave it there.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I definitely agree with that. It's in good hands. For me, this season almost I'm wondering how they are going to end this thing because for me it was a wonderful season. It was completely awesome. It was badass because you had so many things coming together with Chosen, his time going undercover at Cobra Kai. I agree. I didn't think it was going to happen quite that soon as it did, and it did seem like by episode 2 it was over, and his chemistry with Terry Silver was so strong. So
Yeah.
you kind of wanted to see them continue to play chess, and they had this sort of intellectual chess going. You definitely wanted that to continue. So get to see more of that. I was really intrigued by the fact that he was training Tori for one episode, and I was like, oh, this would be interesting to see those 2 together. But the journey they took us on with especially Daniel and Johnny and their continued partnership and the way the season ends for me was completely epic, and I was shocked that it ended the way it did with Daniel and Silver. That is not what I expected to happen. I thought it was gonna end with kind of Chosen and Silver maybe, or because he didn't fight he let the other senseis and Chosen fit, so he didn't actually do that. But I didn't expect it to happen that Daniel was gonna get his big moment to flip the script on Terry Silver. So I was completely shocked when they started that part. So it kind of makes me wonder, how can they possibly top next season? I know you said it's not your favorite season, but it definitely is mine. I just feel like every season it has gotten better and better, and the stakes have gotten higher, and there was more emphasis on the adults and their storyline, which kind of gives it that extra weight because a lot of the youth storylines continue to dabble in a lot of times into like who was dating whom, and so it just, for me, it took me on a journey. And yeah, every moment wasn't a climax, but you don't want that. There has to be some times where you go back down and things aren't quite as exciting, but it just seeing there was a lot of teamwork and coming together and healing, I guess, and it just
Yes, definitely.
plus some fun surprises along the way that people have sort of talked about, and the showrunners just ran with that. We can get into that a little bit more, but I loved it. I absolutely loved it, and I thought everything was just bigger, better, and badasser than ever before.
Badasser, more badass.
I'm just making up words, and I think that I'm allowed to
All
do
words are
that.
made up.
Mm-hmm.
That's what.
It's very, I think that's very Johnny to just make up words. So okay, notable characters. Let's talk about who impressed you.
Well, my favorite character this season, she doesn't get a lot of screen time, but I fell in love with her when she appeared at the end of last season. And that's Una O'Brien as Devin Lee. And I was very happy to see her come back. I thought she'd start with the either Eagle Fang or Miyagi-Do kids, but we see her, she's at like this totally unknown dojo with this other sensei
Topanga,
that yeah,
Karate.
Topanga Karate. Shout out to Danielle Fischel. But like she's there and she's training, and of course that dojo is bought out by Cobra Kai, and of course she just ends up joining Cobra Kai. But what I like about it is we finally have a female big three. Going through the beginning seasons, the big three, well, it started, you had the big two, you had Robbie and you had Miguel. That's the big two. And then Hawk builds his way up to become one of the top tier male combatants as well. So that's your big three, is Hawk, Miguel, and Robbie. Then you got Tori and Sam. And now we got Devon. It's balanced. It's like a scale. It is finally perfect, and I can't wait to see how both of those trios move forward in season 6. Like, are they all going to be a part of whatever this new dojo's name is? Because it can't be Miyagi-Do or Eagle Fang or even Cobra Kai at this point, I guess. I don't know how that's going to end up, but yes, Una O'Brien, Devin Lee, favorite notable character for me in terms of new characters. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Devon they definitely made better use of her this season, where she's going over to Cobra Kai, and she gets an opportunity to be mentored under Tori, and there was some level of bitterness. They've established she's super competitive.
Yes.
Right, after the debate team. So for her losing to Tori was really bad, like devastating for her personally. And so when she gets this opportunity to train with Tori, they're very combative when they're first talking. But she showed a level of resilience, and she wanted to get better. And they sort of bonded over family trauma, I guess you could say.
Yes.
She showed a vulnerability that Tori responded to, even though that's not, Tori's usual. I feel like her usual demeanor is very, she's armored all the time. She doesn't normally show a weakness to anybody. And because Devin was willing, she sort of gave herself away by saying something about her mom, and then Tori ended up feeling a level of sympathy for her, which we haven't seen Tori do. So I thought their friendship was definitely interesting, how they, grew to work together. And yeah, it was an interesting, you're kind of assuming she's going to join the new dojos, but I'm not sure, because I feel like she thinks she flourished under the tutelage of Kim Daon. So I kind of wonder what they're going to do with Devon in the next season.
Yeah, and it's definitely possible Kim is still out there. And I mean, I just feel like her bond with Tori, and it does seem like Tori is also leaving Cobra Kai, which I didn't see happening. I thought it was going to be the twist where they're having her train with like the rock dummy guy, and
Mhm.
then she ends up using her anger to actually break it. And I thought that was going to be her being like, "Yes, this is tough, but they are making me stronger," that type of thing. And she
Mhm.
wouldn't kind of, if she did leave Cobra Kai, it would happen in like a later season. But they just kind of sped through that, and she's like, "Yeah, I'm done with this. This is not. I lost my boyfriend to this place and broke my hand, and this
Mhm.
girl who I think is really cool. I've pretty much brought her here, feeling the same kind of guilt that Robbie felt with Kenny Payne,
Mhm.
and I like how they brought that back in with like, yeah, you bring people to this dojo, and then you're like, I don't know if I want to be a part of this, but what do I tell the people I brought in? So
I don't know if they were, if the rock dummy, there's trying to train somebody to be stronger, and then there's punishing somebody. They were upset at Tori for leaving the
ditching,
tournament. So I don't think yeah, ditching. That's a good way to put it.
yeah.
I don't think
Well,
they were trying to make her stronger. I think they were basically saying this is your punishment because
I
I
I
mean,
agree. I agree. I think it is both. I do think yes, they were punishing her, but at the same time, um, they knew like her feelings for Robbie were holding her back, and their type of style is more the whole style of Cobra Kai is like strike first, lead with anger. So allowing her to bring out that anger is also making her stronger. So I see both. It is a punishment, but sometimes punishment can make you better, if that makes any sense.
it depends. There, yeah, I don't know. This is different teaching styles, and I think it's interesting to contemplate, but I there's some level I get what you're saying because in Karate Kid 3, Terry, there was when I watched that movie as a child, I remember watching him train Daniel on this wooden dummy, and
Yeah,
he's having him like kick wood and punch wood, and then Daniel would come home and he would need to use Mr. Miyagi's smelling salts,
yeah.
but and at the time I thought, well, this can't really be a training technique. He's purposely trying to hurt him so that he can't fight as well. But then you see later on they do train people using that thing. So that is something they're using to some extent. But then having a stone dummy, I don't know. Like who
It
punches stone?
really powerful karate experts. Like think about how you saw Shang-Chi in The Legend of the Ten Rings.
Mm-hmm.
How his dad had him punch that wooden post like over and over, and his fingers were bleeding in the beginning. And as he
Okay,
gets
there's
older,
wood. There is wood and there is
yes, but that post that's a thin sheet of rock versus that really thick wooden post. The point I'm trying to make is over time, he's not bleeding anymore because his fists are stronger.
mm-hmm.
And like I said, I still agree. They're punishing Tori because they know for like if Kreese were fighting that rock dummy, he probably would have shattered it no problem. She's
Mm-hmm.
not at the same level as Kreese. So yes, this is punishment for her, but at the same time, she did eventually break it. So if she stuck with Cobra Kai, I think they see, yes, she's still someone we want to train, and hopefully she does not ditch us again.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like a both. They knew she wasn't ready for it, but she still did manage to break it.
She did manage to, yeah.
Yeah.
So other notable characters? That's it? Just one person? Devin Lee?
Devin Lee, like in terms of new characters, do you want me to break out the spoilers of who showed up?
No, like we can talk about that, but what I'm saying is name all of your all-stars. Like who you think like really, there's Devin, that's cool. I wasn't just saying new people, but like who captivated you with their journey this season?
Devin Lee. Everybody
Yeah.
else's journey is stagnant pretty much. The only other person that I could possibly throw in there would be Kenny Payne.
Mm-hmm.
Kenny Payne, when he was dancing at that bus stop in the previous season, little kid stole my heart, very energetic, and just to see him with all his pent up rage and anger, and he makes excellent points. Like you see the guy who trained you now training your bully, that would further upset you. And like he came to Robbie and was like, help me defend myself. And then all the people at Cobra Kai, they taught him how to defend himself. And that goes back to when Johnny was teaching at Cobra Kai. Is the dojo is doing good things, just kind of taking it too far. And we can get more into that later. But yeah, Devin Lee, Kenny Payne, maybe Chosen, because he's funny and he's just I like his character. But I was expecting more Chosen, especially with what they did last season. Like we're bringing in somebody to help us. You got Chosen. So yes, those are your three. That's
Yeah.
Tell me about yours. Do you have anybody else besides?
Yeah, I
Devin,
do. And Kenny was on my list too. I like how they used him, and I thought it was interesting that Terry Silver has that talk with him, and he mentions you've been a follower this whole time, and so, and then it was, how satisfying was it for him to give Kyler the ball?
Yeah, I don't like Kyler.
Yes, I hate Kyler also.
I really don't like he's not well, everybody's redeemable. This whole Cobra Kai is a redeeming show about how the villain can become like a hero. But I just don't like Kyler. I don't. He's just annoying
I don't
and a
either.
jerk.
They've given him no arc, and that's fine. I don't think everybody needs a sympathetic sob story, but he's just gotten away with stuff for so long. I mean, he was a complete jerk in season 1, and then he got to join Cobra Kai, and Hawk had that scene where he had to fight a one-on-one with Kyler's friend, and he was looking at Kyler,
the crap out of him.
Yeah, Brooks, and
yes,
you're so bad wanting him to get to for Hawk to get to fight Kyler, and Kyler just keeps getting to be an asshole to everybody, and nobody ever stops him. So getting him dressed down royally by Kenny was super satisfying, and it's a great storytelling technique when somebody who's being a jerk, you match them with a worse jerk, and suddenly they don't look kind of as bad. So we could align with Kenny in that moment and cheer for him and be like, good for you, and good on Terry Silver for recognizing what was going on, probably because of his own backstory. But yes, so Kenny, also Anthony LaRusso. I mean, Kenny and Anthony, those two go together. He wasn't quite as interesting as Kenny, but with Anthony, he's been sidelined, and then he was a bully last season, and now he's definitely at a crux point where he's gonna decide now what he's gonna do with that, and he kind of wants to learn karate, but he doesn't want to do the Miyagi-Do techniques of washing cars and hire somebody to do it for him. But they gave him a little more of an arc this time, and I thought he did a nice job with what they gave him. Was he a superstar? Not necessarily, but it was nice. For me, it was nice to see him getting to have some actual sincere talks with people. And sometimes when that happens in a show, for him to like go from just eating waffles and playing video games to having to have a heart-to-heart talk with his sister, it was good. Sometimes that transition doesn't go as smoothly, and I thought he fit nicely into that.
Yeah, I thought, like, He's not my favorite character. I do kind of miss him just being in the background and playing video games. Uh, but yes, he is given a little bit more to do this season. He's still not a karate star like his sister or his dad. He does recognize that his bullying ways were wrong, and he's now paying for it. And he's like, I apologize, but it's still not working. So, like, I like that aspect of it, but he's not a character I'm like dying to see at the forefront or to even learn karate. I'm happy to see him around and to become a better person, but I'm not interested in him joining either dojo, if that makes sense. He can be their tech guy. That's fine with me if he's like their tech guy.
He's almost like how Dimitri was. You remember how Dimitri was just a nerd and he was like, I don't know if I can learn karate, but he was at least trying. Anthony, wasn't even going that far. Even in the exercise they do with Chosen with the eggs, he doesn't actually do any defense. He's the guard.
In his pocket? Is that what he did?
Well, he was hiding in a car, but I'm talking about.
Yes, you're right. Yeah.
But later on, he's the one that tells people, "Oh, if we all guard it together, then that it's his idea." And he says, just like in Dungeon Lord, and then Dimitri's like, "Yeah, man." So the two of them were all like nerding out over video games. So it was interesting that it was Anthony who gives the strategy to not split up, and then they're able to use that strategy at the end of the series. So I liked Anthony. I liked Tori, what they did with her. I don't feel like she was stagnant. They continue to give her more. She had a mentor role. She was also got to have some time with Sam. And then Chosen, and of course Terry Silver. I mean, Terry Silver was on fire in this series.
Yes, I love his promotion to main villain, and it works well. The thing, Terry, I want to see what they do with his redemption arc, because it has to come. The way they've built his character up, I think there is a redemption coming. Because even like when Kreese first brings him in to come back to Cobra Kai, he tells Kreese, he's like, dude, we like in the 80s, I was like doing a lot of cocaine. Like we were terrorizing a teenage kid. That's stupid. What were we doing? We need to do better. But he still felt like he owed Kreese that life debt. He's like, yes, you saved my life, and I'd be dead if it weren't for you. So, and even like as they were like running the dojo, he was Silver was like trying to be nice to the kids, trying to teach them how to do things. Every time he ran into LaRusso, he kept trying to apologize, and his hot-headedness kept putting Terry Silver off. And eventually Terry's like, why am I trying when this guy won't even accept it? And then of course Kreese bugging him, and then he just snaps again and goes back down that dark path that he was once on. And as we see during his fight with Chosen this season, he's still harboring that I should have died mentality. Like I shouldn't even be here. And he has no kids. He's just trying to leave behind a legacy. And I think, and we'll get more into this later, with pretty much the theme of the show becoming Daniel LaRusso's former enemies becoming his allies, I think that is what we're going to get with Silver eventually. Even if it's not an ally, there's some kind of reconciliation.
I could not disagree more to what you're saying. Yes, let me tell you why. Okay. I always assumed, like you, that Silver was indebted to Kreese and he was kind of his hero and that he owed him, but until this season, because during the flashback where they show Kreese and Silver at Kim Sung-young's training facility, they have that conversation after the practice and they're on that rock, and Silver comes to Kreese and he gives him the advertisement for the Take Eye, Psych Eye. I'm saying Psych. And if you remember, Silver says, so what do you say? Like he's trying to drum it up, and then he's like, so what do you say? And then Kreese says, I say no. And that is the exact same conversation that they had at the beginning of Cobra Kai season 4, when Kreese comes to Silver and he asks him to come help him train at Cobra Kai again. Terry Silver says, I say no. And at first I thought they were just doing that to drive up suspense, but they did the exact same conversation. So Kreese like denied Silver because of Johnny. Remember, he said that there's this kid. And so I feel like when Kreese told him no, he harbored resentment about that for years, and we're just now kind of seeing that. So that's my take on it, is that I don't see a redemption coming. I do think Silver thinks he's a good guy, but I don't agree that he's had good intentions this whole time. I think he knows exactly what he's doing, and he's the ultimate representative of Cobra Kai, maybe even more than Kreese. His whole life is one big deception. He puts on a guise like he's a philanthropist and that he's just being nice, but he's a deceiver. He's in the elevator and pretends that, he gets Johnny to admit, like, he must have known about the pregnancy somehow, and he gets him to admit it. But he's like, well, I was talking about your deal with LaRusso. But so he gets in people's heads, and I just think it's interesting that I think we're now seeing that maybe their relationship has been more conflicted than we've ever dreamed.
I agree with that. I do think it's a conflicted relationship, but I think he does like do all the things he, like his charities and that he does, and when he helps people. I think he does help people. He does charities. He has all this money. He has no kids. Like I said, he does want to help people. He doesn't like Daniel LaRusso. And unlike Daniel LaRusso, yes, Silver can get into people's heads and he can manipulate them, but that's the thing. People let Silver do that. Daniel is very hot-headed. They've proved that from season 1, and even when they flash back to the original Cobra Kai, when Johnny's talking about, I was just doing this, and Daniel, came. I thought we were done fighting, and Daniel came and poured all this stuff on me. So I think, yes, Silver is a snake. He's a deceiver. Cobra Kai, the logo is a cobra. But Daniel is also hot-headed. Johnny is also hot-headed. They have more in common than we let them know. And even going back to when Silver first came, like I said, when Silver was trying to apologize to Daniel for the way he treated him in the past, if Daniel wasn't so angry about him with what happened, he said, like a certain character this season when he shows up, if Daniel just like, I accept your apology. That was a long time ago. I'm glad to see you've changed. It would have been a totally different season 5, and we could have had still Kreese as the bad guy, who is another person they set up with a backstory that made you feel bad for him. And he has two sides. It's just that they kind of Kreese and Silver are like two sides of the same coin. I think deep down they are good people who want to do good, and they just keep making the wrong choices. And I think just like Kreese getting caught up in this whole Cobra Kai versus Miyagi-Do madness, Silver, even though he thinks he's a better person, like, I'm better than Kreese, I can do this, he's getting caught up in the same stuff. He should just let it go. What's the sensei's name?
Kim Daon?
Yes. She keeps telling him, dude, let this go. Let this go. We're doing great here. You're gonna have my what was it, her uncle? My uncle's teaching spread around the world. He doesn't let it go.
Her father.
Was it her father? Well, yeah. Like, so, and I'm fine that you agree. I think that the redeeming arc is coming for him. I don't see major, like, repercussions for his actions. One, he's filthy rich. Two, he hasn't done anything illegal that they can prove. So, and as a matter of fact, everybody else, they broke into his house. Like, he even said that. He's like, "You're on camera. You broke into my house. I'm allowed to defend myself." So, like, the only thing they can prove that he did wrong was that he cheated in a kids karate tournament by paying off a ref. So what happens? They give the trophy to the actual winners. The ref is probably fired. There's no jail time for that. There's
well, season 6 is coming. and time will tell. But yeah, I don't think he's I will almost wonder if he's done. I don't know. I think that maybe they're setting it up for Kim Daon to be the main villain next season. But
yes, I do think that is the case. It's a little messy with the end, like because it's a little messy. I see her becoming the main bad guy moving forward, but I don't think Silver is done.
I mean, he's gonna show up because he's a fan favorite. People love him, so he's not going anywhere. But I do think his performance, he's always been, Karate Kid was in many ways a ridiculous movie, but his performance is always electric. He's got this presence, and just some of the lines, some of the things he delivers, he just completely brings it. And so his performance was great. Johnny and Daniel, of course, they're always going to be wonderful. Daniel finally got, I feel in this season, he grew up finally. We've gotten to see his flaws all throughout this series. In many ways, his flaws are more pronounced than Johnny's, because we see he's a hothead. He rushes into things. He doesn't take time. He makes assumptions. These are all bad things. He's a Peter. Like I said, he rushes in, and he doesn't always ask for help. But in this season, we finally see him do that. He stops rushing into things. He even for a time says, "It's not up to us to fight the monsters of this world." And he sort of thinks about retiring his gi for a little bit. So he took a step back, and then when he gets back into the fray, I liked how they showed him, like when Sam is being trained for the final fight with Chosen and Daniel, and they, she's having a sort of a panic moment where she says, "Here I am again in a winner takes all karate tournament and our karate fight." And then Daniel looks at Chosen, and he's basically like, "Can you help me out here?" He's always been sort of like, "I know what I'm doing. You need to just let me step back and do it." So I feel like he's finally making room for other people. He was very codependent with Mr. Miyagi. So when Mr. Miyagi died, he doesn't know what to do because Mr. Miyagi's not there anymore. So he needs other people to rely on. And I feel like with Chosen there, he was able to relax a little more. And also he finally admits Johnny can give good advice too. So I thought what they did with him this season really, it was kind of like finally
Daniel's the adult in the room.
I don't know how old his character is supposed to be now, in maybe 40s, but it's
40s or 50s.
Yeah, now that I think in real life he's in his 50s, but his character might be in the 40s. But it's like, okay, finally as a 40-year-old, you're learning. Because he always made mistakes, and Mr. Miyagi forgave him, but you didn't always think, did you learn anything? Because then he just makes the same mistake again. And you really see him come into his own. So I thought he did an enormous job. He's finally not I don't know, there are times when I'm kind of like, oh, Daniel's such a dork. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and he's finally not a dork anymore. Okay, so underused characters. I know you have something you want to say here, Harrison.
Yes, underused character Sean Kanan is Mike Barnes. It's 2 episodes,
Mhm.
2 episodes of the whole season. We have been building up to this moment of like the main villains from each of the first 3 Karate Kid movies. You got Johnny Lawrence, Chosen, and then Barnes. It's like he should be the one of the main stars of the season, and he's barely there. And I like what they did with the character. The character pretty much shows up. You're thinking Silver's going to contact him to be one of the senseis at the revamped Cobra Kai. That's not the case. He's just wholesome furniture, salesman, and he's sorry about what he did in the 80s, much like how Silver was when he was first introduced. But unlike Silver, he's still like, yeah, I don't want to do this fighting thing. I'm sorry. I think Silver's a terrible guy with the way he even treated me. And I'm happy to give you some information, not too much information, because one, that was like decades ago and I don't have the contracts anymore. But yeah, he should have been in more this season. Hopefully next season he appears, but I don't know really how they can use him moving forward. I think this was supposed to be his season to shine, especially with the whole Silver needing more senseis. So just a little disappointing, but who knows? Maybe they barely got him back. He was too busy and they could only film those 2 episodes with him. So
yeah, I feel like he did fine with what they gave him.
Yeah.
But the way it was built up that Sean Kanan is coming back as Mike Barnes, you were just expecting so much out of this, and I feel like they mainly used him for comic relief.
Yeah.
That he, instead of Karate's bad boy, I mean, we want to see Karate's bad boy, but maybe reformed, the same as Johnny is and Chosen is. They're both villains that are turned into heroes, and they're lovable. But I think part of that is that there wasn't a lot of material to farm for him from the movie, because the movie is not, because Karate Kid 3 isn't a super well-made movie. They didn't give him much of a character arc. He had some funny lines. The karate is a joke and stuff like that. So they did what they could with his character, but he was mainly there for comic relief, working at the furniture store, and then getting into this fight with Chosen, and then stealing the limo. But we didn't really see him do any impressive fighting, really.
Yeah, he seemed to do kind of more like
Didn't he
almost
get
like just
knocked out?
tackling. Yeah.
I think he got
he got thrown into that wall.
Yeah, he got thrown into the wall, and then he passed out. So he wasn't even barely participating. The other person that I was somewhat deflated about was Kim Daon, that character, because that was another person that was built up that people were excited that she was coming, but maybe, like we said, they're preparing her for season 6. I think she's going to play a much bigger role, especially since they spent time showing her as a little girl, and maybe they sort of hinted the fact that maybe she had a crush on Kreese when she was younger. And she even asks, where is Sensei Kreese? And she seems like she's kind of disappointed that he's not there. So I think, I don't know, possibly a Kreese Kim Daon collaboration is in the works.
Is with what happened with him at the end of the season. If we can go ahead and just spoil that, he breaks out of prison. He can't stay in America. He can't teach at Cobra Kai. She's a foreigner here, so that is what makes the most sense, is for him to link up with her and for them to for him to exit the United States. So with
Oh,
her
so you
character,
think maybe he's gonna go to Korea?
yes, that's the only logical explanation for him at this point. And that's one of the storylines I didn't care for, was the whole him being in prison. I thought was a good storyline. I thought they're going to figure out what happened and eventually, he's going to get out. But them having him break out, I was like, they're pretty much like, this is getting a little too big. Like, this old guy actually managed to do that. But yeah, at this point, he can no longer be a Cobra Kai, has to go abroad now. Let's just put it that way. So,
but back to her character. She mainly, I mean, we got some of her, but I don't feel like they used her too much. So I was a little underwhelmed. Again, she did some training, and she's definitely complex in that, she sort of makes sense, but at the same time, she has the capacity to be an evil overlord or over madam. I don't know what you call an overlord woman.
With the way the characters are presented, I do see, like we talked about earlier, her being pretty much the main antagonist in season 6. But I do think we get more of her backstory, and whereas, like, she will still be the antagonist, but you're kind of gonna feel like a little bad for her. Like, oh, okay, so that's why she's this way. That's why, kind of like when we got that flashback with Chosen, he was training with his uncle, and how he was kind of taking the shortcut by doing the stab move in the sand, and his uncle berates him. I think we'll probably get something like that with her, especially being one of the few female fighters we've seen in the whole series. So
could be. I think, again, I don't think she was not an interesting character, but just the way that, I guess because they released that clip and people were talking about it, I got the feeling that there was I think people were even wondering if she would almost be a foe against Silver. Like, they wondered if she would not feel that he was representing her family's name well by using for instance, because of the fact that he deceived Kreese, and because loyalty is an important characteristic in Asian cultures. I mean, we all care about loyalty, but it was just kind of like,
they need to call you and have you write on the show. That would have been a great twist if she was there to, basically take it from him. But like, yeah, you have not been an honest sensei.
Yeah,
and she just beat him up.
she can see, you mentioned even several times that she kind of gave him a dressing down in a way. She's not impressed with his money. Mike Barnes was all excited about his 50% share of the dojos, and she says, I didn't come here for money. She cares about legacy and having her family's name out there to the world. So once again, Silver could not come through because he made the promise to Mike Barnes that, you were going to get the money from these dojos, the 50%. And if you win, Mike Barnes didn't win. So, he never got his 50%. So once again, Silver has proven he can't, he would probably say it's the other guy's fault. But in Kim Daon's situation, she was promised, when we're going to share your family's karate with the world, and he was not able to come through on those promises. So I guess the only other thing I would say, and we talked about this with Stranger Things too, is when you add on new characters, you sort of do have to sideline some characters or make them less important. But I saw quite a lot of fans kind of, they were like, well, does Hawk get any great scenes? Because they spent more time focusing on Daniel and Johnny and the adult drama, a lot of the kids, the teen characters did not get used as much. So they had less opportunities to shine, I think, in general. But
Yeah. And another character, before I forget, who I felt was underutilized, Miguel's dad. That was
Miguel's dad.
what, yeah, that was another like 2 episode thing. And we never like they build up like in the previous season when Carmen's talking about Miguel's dad to Johnny, like when I found out the things he was doing, I left and brought my son and my mom to America to get away from him. And I remember the rumors back then, everybody thought, oh snap, Silver is Miguel's dad, which I still kind of wish were the case because he was I think they mentioned in Karate Kid Part 3 that he did like some illegal stuff in South America as well as a part of his business. But we finally meet the guy and we still don't know exactly what he does. He does some kind of shady work in Mexico now, but they never say exactly what that is. Is he running drugs? Is he like in some kind of cartel? What's going on? He just seems to be kind of like a jerk. And
Mm-hmm.
I wanted more from his character. I wanted him to actually find out that like Miguel like is his son, for him to find that out, or for it to at least come out like Carmen was lying. Like nothing, like Miguel's dad is bad in the sense that he's a deadbeat dad, not that he's necessarily doing something evil. She just thought she needed to leave him. And like
Mm-hmm.
there was no that storyline I felt went nowhere. It just existed for Robbie and Johnny to drive down to Mexico to bring him back. And
Mm-hmm.
it just felt a little wasted. I felt like they could have cut that to give more time to Mike Barnes. So
Yeah. Yeah. My first. I mean, I don't know. I felt like it was just enough. I wasn't super excited about the Mexico storyline. So I'm not sure if I wanted more from that, but I can see that. I mean, there's always a possibility he'll put two and two together and in next season, come up north and and try to, I don't know if he'll be a benevolent character, but he might be like, I want to, spend more time with my son, whether for good or evil, or maybe he's business partners with Silver. Who knows? So maybe they'll bring it back. But I can see that. Um I thought it was nice for them to give Paul Walter Hauser a few more moments of Stingray.
I'm very happy to see him back again. That's a character who I think his small role it fits as being a small role,
Mm-hmm.
and he's utilized very well. I'm glad they didn't just like get rid of him. So there's
Mm-hmm.
that, and they do still emphasize that Johnny Lawrence taught him well. He still knows his karate. He's beating up these kids left and right. So
Yeah, I liked the way they brought him back. But it did almost feel like it was almost an homage to Eddie Munson.
maybe a little,
Because
yeah.
they had the D&D game and he's like
Uh-huh.
Metallicus,
Yeah.
he had the character with Metallica. It seemed a little
On the
overt.
nose.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Well, this is one of their flagship shows now. Stranger Things and Cobra Kai. These are kind of like their two keep the subscribers subscribing type of things. So
could there be could there be like a multiverse coming together of Stranger
I
Things
don't
and
I don't
Cobra?
think so. Not at all. The closest you'll get is that they will be watching the Karate Kid in the next season of Stranger Things
Mm-hmm.
or something like that. Or maybe that's the first date that Max has with Lucas when she comes out of her coma is that they
Mm-hmm.
go see Karate Kid and or Karate Kid Part 3 and then she's like, that was an awful movie for you to take me to. Like,
That's true. They could be watching the movies, but I guess if time wasn't a factor, and we know it's not in the other, in the Upside Down, you could theoretically, if they had any character join Stranger Things, it would probably be Stingray because of his D&D connection.
yeah.
But yeah, he is such a strong actor, so I liked that they gave him something to do and he got to play hero in a sense, so that was nice. Okay, anything else more about characters before we go into the fights?
I think that's it about the characters. I don't know if something else will probably pop up and I'll just blurt it
Yeah, if
out.
it
But
does, that's
for the
fine.
most part, yeah.
All right, so the fights this season, what were your thoughts about the action sequences? And
I The fights were okay this season. They weren't the best. Like the fight in the school at the end of season 2 where Miguel got kicked off the uh onto the railing. That was awesome. But this season you can definitely, especially with the older characters, you can kind of tell they're getting older. They're not moving as quickly. Martin Cove, they had to do the whole flashback thing with his prison fight where they bring in the younger actor to like do a lot of the movements. But the kids are still on point. They still to be doing well. I like more so when they're having their point matches. Those look more like real karate. It's more believable. And of course, that final fight they have at the Cobra Kai dojo in the end, that was nice to see. But like, I don't think there was anything this season where I was truly awed. There is the sword fight, sword versus sci fight with Chosen and Silver. That was cool, but I'm watching it and I'm like, okay, we're using weapons now. Is that where this show has gotten to? But can we just stick to the martial arts? I don't think we need to see people lose pinkies and whatnot. But yeah, it's enjoyable to watch. I think we should probably stick to the kids fighting at this point.
Wow. Okay. Oh man, I feel so differently about it. I thought the fights were
What?
epic. Like,
Epic.
yeah, Chosen's fight against the 5 senseis, that was amazing. I was blown away by that. It was more that was I told you there were 2 points when I started crying. One was Chosen fighting, the other one was Daniel fighting Silver at the end. I mean, the way that that's choreographed.
I did like Daniel fighting Silver at the end, and the callback to Karate Kid 3 using, like, remembering what Silver was teaching him.
The Quicksilver method, yeah.
Yeah, and using that and taking him out. That was a neat scene. I agree with you on that. That was.
They really used the speeches to heighten the suspense, and you're like, and you're like, I know what's coming. And that's what happened to me. When he says, over the years I've developed a system of short intensive training for purposes just like this, and I paused it and I was like, oh my gosh, because I wasn't expecting, like I said, I wasn't expecting a Silver Daniel fight in this season.
And we got 2 actually. So
yeah, because I thought that one was it. The one that where he ended up, Daniel ended up losing again. I thought that would be it for this season. And so getting to see that, and him not, it was almost like he was inspired by the spirit of Mr. Miyagi, because Silver wasn't able to lay a finger on him. But that was great. But yeah, the Chosen fight where he it's almost reminiscent of the fight where Hawk beats the crap out of Brooks, because he's fighting these senseis, but he's looking at Silver because he's telling him he wants to, set the line. You're not going to expand. You're not going to you're not going to bother the LaRussos anymore. And of course, Terry Silver didn't listen to any of that.
There's one thing I did like, speaking of building suspense, the scene where Silver teaches Kenny the special like punch to take the breath away. Like, I really enjoy that. And when he uses it against Hawk, I really sat there. I was like, are they gonna kill one of these kids? Is that what's gonna happen?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Is that what's gonna make Payne leave Cobra Kai? Is that he's accidentally gonna kill Hawk or something like that? And luckily he didn't die, thank God. But I was sitting there, I was like, oh wow, they might go there. So
yeah, that was a very horrific scene to watch. But yeah, I think those are the main 2 fights that got me really excited. I mean, there were other ones I liked. I enjoyed the training that Chosen did with the eggs, and of course the kids were not up to the task, but when they all fight together to protect the eggs, that was nice. We had the fight with Robbie and Miguel, which wasn't that exciting, but you did sort of wonder what was going to happen until John, when they get up to the balcony and you're just like, oh my gosh, like, you knew, I guess I didn't really think anybody was going to get pushed off the balcony, but you were sort of scared there for a minute that that was going to happen. The tournament fights, yeah, I don't know. Oh, in the first episode, the fight with Johnny against the swindling Australian servers,
I hated that so much. I hated those guys. It just was that their whole shtick should have ended with Miguel. He should have beat the crap out of them, and that should have been the end of those guys. Or at least the next time we saw him, they should have said, "Yeah, that kid beat the crap out of us. He went this way." The fact that Miguel was just like, "Yeah, take the money, give my back." I was like, "No, beat them up. Have some Johnny Lawrence come out of you and beat these guys up. Like, don't just let that happen." I didn't care for that scene or those guys.
Well, you're not supposed to care for them. But the fight was rewarding, you know, Johnny getting to like kick that surfboard in half. So I don't know. I thought the fights were really great. Maybe they weren't as physically impressive as seen in the kids in the tournament, but I think a lot of them had a lot of emotional weight, at least for me personally, that what was going on screen, especially the Daniel fight, because that's a long time coming, that long-standing comeuppance that Daniel finally gets to have, because Terry is another one of those people that was just getting away with things for so long. You know, even he's gonna pay off this ref so that their fighters win the tournament. I mean, he did it again, a second time.
Yeah, but that's the way you beat the cricket ref. You just make it evident that you're winning. So yeah,
that was good. All right, so major themes. Actually, let's skip the themes for a second and talk about food just briefly. We don't have to spend long on this, but I thought it was interesting. It's always fun to see what foods they have. And, you know, there was grape Uncrustables, which, have you ever had those before?
Yes, I do love Uncrustables.
What?
Really good snack.
What is it? What is an Uncrustable?
It's a peanut butter and jelly sandwich without the crust. That's it.
And people can't just make their own sandwich. Like, why do you need this in a box?
You can buy them at the store. You get them at the freezer section. You can take them on the road and you can just eat them without having to make a bunch of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches and pack them up. It's just they come in like a little plastic wrapper. Open them and eat them.
Yeah. We also had red Jello, which was Crease's favorite.
Yeah, the melted Jello. Yeah, like I told you, I didn't like that scene, but.
Well, I mean, but even before, okay, yes, he did use it in his escape attempt, you know, his great escape.
Yeah.
But before that, it was something they got in the cafeteria.
Yeah. And
when Daniel and Johnny come to talk to Crease, he's like, "Would you like any red Jello, Johnny?"
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if this is considered a food, but the scene I thought was really funny is when Johnny tried the White Claw for the first time. He's like, "White Claw, that sounds badass. Let me have one of those." And he just spits it out, and I laugh because I'm like, "White Claws are terrible. Like, why?" It made for a funny scene.
Yeah, so he spit it out, and then he took another drink again.
Yeah.
And then later he says, "I'm all jacked up on whiskey and White Claw. You're not gonna beat me," or something.
Yeah. And I do like what he orders that, and he orders the water for Carmen. And when LaRusso comes over, he just like orders all these expensive drinks, and it's like just the different levels of what they drink. It's funny to me.
Yeah, and Chosen likes Long Island iced tea.
Yeah.
We also had let's see, I made a list here.
Made a list of the
food. I did. Okay. So in Mexico, they had this, because I looked this stuff up. El Masticador was a cherry flavored candy that was made up, but there is cherry flavored Mexican candy. His dad made churrasco, which is a dish with like pork and the pork rinds, a bag of pork rinds for the road.
Yeah.
And then there was the Mai Tais, Amanda and Daniel like to have Mai Tais by the pool. Suntory whiskey, which the last season I did get a bottle of the Suntory whiskey. Red Savina hot peppers with milk.
I knew in that scene, I was like, he didn't eat that pepper. And I love how they brought it back when he smeared that. Had to burn. That made me wince a little bit.
Yeah, that was I felt like for me that was the homage to the ice breaking scene. Even though he wasn't breaking ice, it was still a bet that they made to earn cash quickly. And you also had Johnny showing faith in Robbie. So that was kind of Robbie's opportunity to shine. Plus he went back to Cobra Kai and basically was like, sorry guys that I left you and you should leave right now.
Yeah.
And then of course, so what do you think about Olive Garden? Because I was like, what is going on with this homage to Olive Garden?
Yeah, it was like an homage to Olive Garden. It wasn't exactly Olive Garden, and it's strange.
No, it was Olive Garden. They go into an Olive Garden, and he said,
"Was it?" I thought it was like something else garden. I didn't think it was Olive Garden. I'll have to rewatch that. But they have good breadsticks. I mean, that's the truth. I mean,
we used to have multiple Olive Gardens in the Triangle, and there's only 2 of them open. I think there is one in Durham, but yeah,
there's one in Winston. So actually, I don't even know if it's still open. I think it's still open. We haven't been in a while, so.
But it did make me. I was just wondering what the heck it was with Olive Garden, and I couldn't figure out during the scene with Jessica and when they go see Jessica that they and she ends up being Amanda's cousin.
Were they cousins? I thought they were sisters.
They're cousins.
Oh, well, either way, I almost forgot about that. And yes, that was great. I'm so happy they brought her back. And in tying her in that way, it was fitting. It worked out well.
It turns out that Jessica is the one who set Daniel and Amanda up.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting, although I don't know. I didn't. It was nice they brought her back, but I wasn't too excited about that. It was kind of funny that the girls got into a bar fight.
Yeah, but they did tie it back to last season. Remember, I'm not sure if it was last season or season before, where she told Dan about a time that she got really upset and took a bat to somebody's car, and they tied it back to that. Hey, do we have a name for you? And then,
yeah.
Do
you remember what the name was now?
I can't. What was it like? Babe? I don't remember. What was it?
Yeah, it was something. A play on Babe Ruth, but
yeah,
I don't remember what it was. But then there was this snake bites candy that was pure protein. Kyler just
he ate like a whole. Yeah,
I looked that one up too. I didn't see anything called snake bites, so I think that was sort of a Cobra Kai brand. They
have snacks like that, but yeah, it's probably like something that's just Cobra Kai themed, because they have all their merch, t-shirts, mugs, all that stuff that Silver was just giving away. You can join our dojo and take a gi, or you can get a free cup if you don't. So
yeah,
either way, he's spreading the name.
Yeah, that's very true. You have to have your merch. So I don't know. Do you have any special foods you eat when you're watching Cobra Kai?
Special foods? None at all.
During your binge fest? I mean, this year I didn't do a binge fest because I got the early access, but I think
you're welcome, by the way, for the idea.
Yeah, thanks, Harrison. But last season I think I had pizza rolls and some different stuff.
I just watched. I think during when I watched a few episodes, I got a bowl of Frosted Flakes. Just sat there and watched it
Frosted
at
Flakes?
1 o'clock in the morning, just eating Frosted Flakes. Okay, what's Terry Silver doing today? So
yeah, having binging the whole episode in a day. I think we usually have food, but one of the Suntory whiskey, pizza rolls, and some other stuff. It wasn't just pizza rolls, but I can't remember now. But if I was, it's just some of the foods they you wonder, is there gonna be a run on Grape Uncrustables, anytime soon? And of course, there's grilled hamo, which is what Silver made chosen for dinner. So
Yeah.
you can make that. Okay. Themes. I guess I wanted to talk about here some of the interesting, like, overall themes of the series. So there were two that I thought of. One was the whole followers versus leaders.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was an interesting point they made, because first of all, it made for an interesting lesson that they were doing at Cobra Kai, and they were able to kind of tie that into Silver's past. And he does that speech to Kenny, and he tells him that he used to always be a follower, and he followed his captain,
his dad,
and his best friend. And then he says, it wasn't until I relied on my own instincts that I grew. And he sees himself maybe in Kenny a little bit. So I thought that was interesting, because it made for a good lesson. It also gave Kenny a moment to get to to beat up Kyler, and for Kyler to get a nice little dressing down. But I think that was an interesting kind of theme that I saw. We also had that same thing with Tori and Devon, in that they had a nice dynamic, and it wasn't that Devon was necessarily looking to usurp Tori, but because Tori wasn't there, she was the one that had to have the fight against Sam. And Devon was innocent, she wasn't aware of the cheating, and she wasn't participating in that. So I thought that was an interesting theme. Another interesting theme that, again, it's sort of hidden, but it goes back to the lore we learned about Cobra Kai and the sensei there. And it made me, somebody made a point in a Facebook group that I thought was pretty insightful. They mentioned that Johnny started Cobra Kai, started it back up, and Kreese kind of, he stole it back from Johnny, and then Silver stole it back from Kreese. And then Kim Daon may be stealing it back from Silver. Yeah. So there's in the history of Cobra Kai, there's always conflict, and somebody's better or worse than somebody else, or there's this division, and you're gonna kick that person out. Where, as if you compare that to Miyagi-Do, the history is always coming together and reunion, because you had Mr. Miyagi and Sato. I mean, they had their feud for a while, but eventually there was reconciliation and forgiveness. You also had Chosen and Daniel, the same thing. We have Johnny and Daniel. We have now Tori and Sam that have forgiven each other. We have Miguel and Robbie. So, and there's the lesson about we're stronger together, and Chosen says this is what we have that Cobra Kai doesn't. And they didn't paint that contrast specifically, like lay it all out there, but that was something I took away, is that the legacy of Cobra Kai is always conflict and division. And I think we might even see more of that, of the history, which I think would be fascinating. Whereas in Miyagi-Do, the legacy is coming together and unity and event, there's forgiveness there that happens.
Yeah, Miyagi-Do are like your Jedi, and Cobra Kai are like your Sith. Always trying to, usurp each other and gain the most power. And I think that's an excellent point that you made there. But I do think, you have the thing that actually ties both dojos together is their history of, like, I don't want to say like attack, but like when Chosen told Daon about the origins of Miyagi Do, how they had those pressure point teachings that could like disable opponents, which Mr. Miyagi knew, but he never used because that's not the style that he wanted to teach for his students. Uh, but I think, like with the Jedi and the Sith, there are some small things they have in common, but there are big things that keep them separate, like the reconciliation over here versus the tearing apart over here. So
somebody made, I saw another fan theory out there I thought was interesting, is that maybe long ago Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do started from the same root, almost like an origin story.
I can, like I wrote on Twitter, I am very interested in a prequel series about a young Mr. Miyagi, and even if they want to go back further, Miyagi's dad, if they want to start like that early, I'm interested in seeing like the birth of these fighting styles, if they even met way back then. But yes, it would be great to see, because Chosen did know about that the deceptive fighting style stuff.
Kim Sung Young.
Yeah. What was her dad's name?
Oh, well, Kim Sung Young is the dad's name.
Oh, that's it. What's the daughter's name?
Kim Daon.
Daon. Thank you. I feel so bad for mixing them up. But yeah.
That's fine. But I'm talking about before. I think a prequel about Mr. Miyagi would be awesome. But I guess I'm talking about even further back. But if that's the case, then I could see your theory about an eventual reconciliation would be possible, because if that is the history of Miyagi-Do, is always eventually reconciliation, then there would be a forgiveness at some level, a balance in the Force again. Since you brought up Sith and Jedi, they're but that it would be interesting. I don't know if the showrunners would ever go that far back, but if there were two brothers and they had a conflict and one of them became Miyagi-Do and one of them became Cobra Kai, I mean that would be interesting. But you also, then Cobra Kai is from Korea and Miyagi-Do starts in Japan, so I don't know.
Maybe
I don't know if
I don't know. They had a sensei who taught two students. One was Korean, one was Japanese. So we'll see. The theme that I keep bringing up, of course, is the former enemies becoming friends. You got Johnny Lawrence, you got Chosen, Mike Barnes, eventually Silver, maybe Kreese. I think when this show ends, I don't think there are any enemies left per se. They may not be friends, but I think that everybody will kind of be grown up, so to speak, because all these past conflicts they always talk about is like, yeah, we were stupid back then, we were kids. Kreese still talks about how, Johnny was his best student, and the flashbacks show how he really cared about this kid who was coming from like a home that wasn't the best. His stepdad didn't care for him really that much. And Silver, of course, just really, he wanted to make Kreese happy for saving his life. And like when he said, I have to go work in my dad's business. Yeah, I technically own half the dojo, but it's yours. Do whatever you want. You don't want to join the Tekai, Sekai, whatever. That's fine. You go teach this Johnny kid and make him great. And if you ever need me, just call me. So I think like eventually, yes. I think Kreese and Silver will also like reconcile in Korea, because Kreese can't go back to America. Like I said, I think it'll kind of be everybody will kind of not like I don't want like some big overall bad guy to show up out of nowhere. Like we all got to join together to beat this mega karate master. I don't want anything like that, but I kind of want everybody just to come together and be like
Thanos.
Yeah, just be like, I don't like you, but at the same time, we should be past this. Just, just we all like karate.
I
That's
don't
it.
know. Well, really, even if I think, we showed at the end of this, all the kids took off their Cobra Kai gear and were laying it down. But even before that happened, I was like, well, who's left? I mean, Tori was there, but she was a spy. She was
Leaving.
undercover.
Yeah.
Kenny was there, but it's like, okay, well, Kenny's still kind of new. So it did seem like all the good fighters were going over to the Miyagi Fang side. I did appreciate how Stingray says Miyagi Fangs.
Yeah.
So finally somebody said it, instead
Yeah.
of it being um instead
Yeah.
of it being just a fan word.
Yeah. When everybody like quit Cobra Kai, that like Kyler, I was like, why did Kyler quit? Well, are they trying to like paint him as like he has some kind of morals? No, Kyler should have been one of the people who were like, oh, I don't care that we cheated. Like, so they still had some people. It did seem like just a mass exodus. Like everybody's leaving Cobra Kai. But at the same time, that Cobra Kai has multiple dojos now. So maybe there's some brand new characters who will show up next season that are great fighters that we had no idea were even there. So that I thought that's probably the only way they can do that at this point.
Yeah, I mean, logically it didn't exactly make sense because the video that they end up showing is just Silver admitting that he cheated. So I guess, I mean, all the kids in Cobra Kai didn't want to be part of a cheater thing. That really seemed to upset them. It didn't exactly make sense, but I appreciated it. It was dramatic. That they laid their equipment down. So let's talk about how it ended and hopes for season 6. We've kind of alluded to this, but just to get it all out there, what did you think of the ending? We had Daniel beating Silver, we had the kids all quitting, and we had Kreese, escaping from prison. So we had those 3 things. What do you think might happen in season 6?
Well, the main thing going into season 6 that I think is going to happen, I think we're finally going to venture into the next Karate Kid movie in terms of bringing back characters. I think Julie Pierce will make her grand appearance, if not like during the entirety of season 6, at the very end, because of the fact that they don't have a name. They're a combined dojo. And he said, we are Eagle Fang, we are Miyagi-Do. And he's like, I like the thing you're doing, but you actually do need one name. So I think they are Miyagi Fang, or they come up with some kind of brand new name. And when they finally go to the Tekai, is it Tekai Saikai? Is that what it's
I think
pronounced?
so. Yeah.
When they finally go, it'll be whatever their new dojo name is, whatever Sensei Kim brings forward with the new Cobra Kai. But I think what is going to be like the catalyst when they see all the dojos listed, Miyagi-Do will be like on the list. So Daniel's going to be like, no, we didn't choose that name. And they're going to be like, oh, there's a different Miyagi-Do here. And that's when he finds out about Julie, because she's never mentioned. So for some reason, either Daon does know of her, and Mr. Miyagi said, yeah, this is my other student, or he never brought her up to Daon. So he's surprised, and he can find somebody else who knows Mr. Miyagi. He can discuss, they can be partners, but at the end, somebody has to win the tournament. So who's the better Miyagi-Do student? So I think that's where we're going with season 6. Tekai Saikai is going to be an international season. We're going to leave California finally, and that's what I'm excited to see.
Yeah. Did they say where? I guess I'm not remembering where the Taigai Saikai takes place.
I don't think it's just like an international tournament. I don't think they mentioned the exact place it took place, because the board was like multiple people. That one guy was German, that one other guy was, I think, Chinese. So it's kind of like the Kumite. It's probably going to be on some island somewhere in the Pacific Ocean.
So it's all over. They're probably like with the Olympics, they change the location every time around.
Something like that. And that's another reason I do think Silver will be back, because he did make the promise to them that, hey, I have the financial resources that we can make your tournament known all across the United States. and that will give you guys sponsors and a lot of other big names so the world can finally see. So I think they're gonna want Silver to still hold up on that promise because, like I said before, it was a kids karate tournament that he cheated in. He's not getting any jail time. The only thing they could try to pin burning down the furniture store on him, but we never actually find out if that was actually him that did that or so. Which I hope that I hope it turns out that it was just like an electrical fire and that Silver didn't do it. And like Barnes feels bad for stealing his painting.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because he says at the beginning, or sorry, at the end of the second, the second to last episode of this season, Terry Silver says something about, I'm gonna make sure that these guys are punished. And then you think he's sent someone to pick up the limo. It's actually Mike Barnes. So I guess it could be that. I mean, he did say that he's going to take care of Mike Barnes. So we do assume it was him that sent the fire, but
they never actually go back to that. So
is the person who started the fire Snake or Dennis? Are they still under the
more
employ?
characters who we did not see show up? So, I mean, that would be nice.
Yeah. I mean, they also didn't show any of the OG Cobras. Bobby didn't show up again. And Jimmy, I guess, and Dutch. We still haven't seen Dutch.
That's why I said a 2-part season, a few more episodes might work out well.
There was a rumor that there was going to be a big fight at the end, and the big fight was going to be Daniel Chosen, Johnny, Mike Barnes, and Bobby. People were putting him, against Silver, but okay, that didn't happen. But yeah, so I think you're right. Hopefully we would go international. I hope that they won't be like, well, because we have 2 American teams, we're going to go to America after all, and it'll be in California. So maybe you're right. An international location, that would be nice. Kim Daon definitely coming back. I think, that's sort of seems to be a given. We'll have to see what happens with our newest Cobras in training. That would be Kenny and Devin. What happens to them? I think
Devin, I think they need more females on the team. So I think Devin is guaranteed to go to the tournament. I don't know about Kenny. I think they're probably going to leave him back home since he is younger and to do some soul searching to kind of figure out, who he's supposed to be. He's probably going to talk to his big brother who's in juvie.
Yeah, I'd like to get him out. What was his name? Sean, I think.
I think so. I'm not exactly sure.
It'd be nice if Sean got out of juvie and somehow ends up in the show. That would be interesting. I don't know. Maybe Miguel's dad coming back.
I want some closure with that, but I think they're done with Miguel's dad. I don't think they knew exactly where to go with that. So yeah, I don't know if I would like for him to show up and just kind of be like, I realized it was you after you left, and I would like to get to know you. Congratulations on your new baby sister. Because I think Johnny and Carmen are having a girl, and it's going to be like the 2 brothers teaching her karate.
Well, there's definitely going to be a baby. How old would it be? I think it depends on when the show's coming back, because that's sort of the unknown factor. Is we know I think they've said it's going to be at least 2026 before. I don't know.
2026.
Maybe I'm making that up. I feel like it's going to be a while though, and that's why they ended it. In the past, they've usually ended things on a cliffhanger. We had Miguel in a coma. We had Chosen coming to fight Miyagi versus Endgame with Daniel. This didn't feel like a cliffhanger so much as a to be continued, but it didn't ramp up the suspense. It almost was a decrescendo.
Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah. See you next time on Cobra Kai.
Right. It almost, because like I know that I don't want the show to end yet, but having Daniel fight Terry, it almost could have ended right there.
Mhm.
But I think we do want to see more from Chosen too, because you almost thought he was gonna die. You almost thought he was dead, I
Yeah, I
think.
was like, whoa. But
It was like a
yeah.
Kill Bill, sword fight
Uh-huh.
there, having him chopped in the back. So yeah, I would like to see Chosen come back too, of course, but
I
I
think
don't
we
know.
probably get a max of 2 more seasons. I think we get Chosen in Kimiko's wedding eventually down the line. And like Ralph Macchio was talking about how they're setting up a shared, or they plan to set up a shared universe. And Netflix does want more IP to mine to get more subscribers. So I do think like a prequel series will definitely happen. Another type of spin-off, maybe if Julie does come in next season and she's well liked, and they'll be like, well, what was she up to during this time? So we get like her own show. I mean, Hilary Swank is a 2-time Academy Award winner. So
She
that
started
is
a cockroach farm.
when.
I'm making it up.
Oh, oh, you mean like in the universe?
Yeah, because remember because I just watched the movie. She goes to they go to the temple, and there's the monks. Did you see the next Karate Kid? I guess you
I
have.
haven't seen it in a long time, but yes, I have seen it.
She sees a cockroach in the Buddhist temple, and she's going to hurt it, and the monks get upset that she's going, because they respect all life. And then yeah. But what's funny about that is, because I had put in my review, I said, well, at least I've seen this horrible movie now, which is, I gave it 1.5 stars. And I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
saw your review.
I said, this is bad, but at least now if there's a plot line that shows up with a cockroach, then I'll know what's going on. And then Johnny, there's a plot line with a cockroach.
Yeah.
Where he expelled all the cockroaches from his apartment. But I don't think that they were referring to the next Karate Kid.
You never know. They might. They type things back a lot. We'll see.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I don't know. Anything else you want to say before we end this discussion?
I checked my notes. I think we covered everything that I had to talk about. I hopefully we get the next season before 2026. I think we're probably looking at
maybe 2024.
2024. I think they're going to start filming either late this year or early next year, and we'll get a 2024 season, because
that sounds better.
Sholo, he just filmed Blue Beetle and he's done with that. And I don't think anybody else is too busy. Like a lot of other people, this is pretty much their main paycheck right now.
Mm-hmm.
So I think,
well, hopefully this cast will get more work, because they deserve it. I mean, Terry Silver, Thomas Ian Griffith needs more work.
I think he's happy. I think he was happy to come back to do this. Martin Cove too. I think they're kind of at the point in their career, like, yeah, I'll do this, but I don't really care to do other things. But yeah, like Sholo, what's his last name that plays Miguel? Mariduena. Okay, yeah. Sholo Mariduena, he just got Blue Beetle. Peyton List is doing like a whole lot of things. People want the guy that plays Robbie Keane to be the Human Torch in Fantastic Four. We'll see.
Well, Tanner Buchanan, that's Robbie. He's already been doing.
He was on the Disney Channel, wasn't he?
He's been doing Netflix rom-coms.
Well, everybody, once you're in the Netflix family, they put you in a lot of their stuff.
He was in a remake of She's All That was called He's All That.
He's All That.
Yeah.
But Jacob Bertrand, Hawk is my favorite character, like hands down. He took a little backseat this season, but yeah, he's dating Peyton List, which I just found out in her Vanity Fair interview, which is pretty funny. Did you see
he
that?
Was the one with the lie detector test?
Yes, I asked her if she'd date.
Where she date Leonardo DiCaprio.
Yeah, and she just left. No. But yeah, I think.
I mean, he was my MVP for last season. I
Yes,
liked it.
he's an example of an arc done right, like being bullied. And then of course, you know, he learns how to defend himself. He takes Sensei Lawrence's words to heart and just says, like he says, you know, if people are staring at the scar
Mhm.
from your cleft lip surgery, do something to make them not notice it. And he, you know, gets the giant tattoo on his back, has the mohawk, and like each season progresses, I don't really notice it that much. Like when you first see him, it's like bright red and you can see it. Lately,
Yeah.
it's kind of like, yeah, it's there, but it's not like a big deal anymore. And I think that is a key to his character and is what makes him so well. Like he was bullied, he becomes the bully, he redeems himself, and now he's a good guy again. And it happened over the course of like 3 seasons, whereas other characters, it's now happening in 1 or 2 seasons, and it's like, yeah, we get it, but I like how long they developed that character. So
Mhm. If we didn't have Hawk, we wouldn't have had Stingray with his
you're right. You're right.
braided beard.
And I also love the evolution of Hawk's tattoo. You remember he had the moon, the crescent moon,
Yeah.
and then when Moon broke up with him, he changed it to like a sickle, and now it's like the lotus flowers or whatever it is.
Hmm.
So I just wanted to continue to grow into like a full like chest/arm sleeve piece. That'd be nice.
Yeah. But are you saying that he's getting more roles, or you think he needs more roles?
He needs more roles. He's a fantastic actor. I really like him.
Yeah. I think the whole cast, but even the older cast too, they were like 80s celebrities and they do kind of bit parts, but I don't know.
Yeah, Ralph Macchio, he was in The Deuce. William Zabka, he won an Academy Award as well. So he's in that camp. I think he was like, it was like a writer on a short film or a producer on a short film or something like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm happy to have everybody else come back and, you know, do other stuff. But I do think most of them, of the older cast, are just kind of like, I'm happy to do this. I've had my
Yeah.
time in the fame. Let the young bloods take over
Mhm.
from here. Like with Top Gun Maverick, in 30 years, you're gonna get Cobra Kai again with Sholo and Robbie, like as co-senseis of something. I don't know.
Mhm. Or will it be Miguel and Sam? Does it always have to be two dudes? Does it have to be two bros?
Yes, it is always two dudes. The girl,
Okay.
they're gonna be training their younger sister, and I don't
Mhm.
know. Maybe Sam pops in. She runs her dad's car dealership now.
Oh no. Okay. Well, this has been a great discussion. Another great discussion, Harrison. Thank you for doing this.
Thank
And
you for having me. I will beg to do the next one, whatever that is.
so remember, everybody, that Cobra Kai season 5 starts. Well, hopefully by now you've watched it because we just spoiled it for you.
We
But
spoiled everything in this video.
yes, this is going to be coming out on the Monday after the show comes out. So
Great. I have
plenty of
time to write
time
my
for
review then.
plenty of time for people to watch it. But thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this. Please feel free to leave comments and let us know what you'd like to see next. And I'll see you guys next time on one of my stories. Bye.